And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Sam's Wedge-In, live here in Austintown. DJ Yoakley and the head ball coach of the Austintown Fitch Falcons, Mr. TJ Parker. Coach, first, thanks for spending some time with us tonight. Good to have you back, season 2 of the Austintown Fitch Show, live from here in Sam's. What was the off season like for you? What is a regular summer like for you? And what's the off season like now, being the head ball coach of the Fitch Falcons?
I don't know if there's regular anymore. I'll tell you that.
What does that look like? What did it look like before you were the head coach here?
We've joked in the office, and
Yeah.
this is the truth. My first year was COVID year. Since that year, we said if we had cameras following us, we'd probably be the number 1 rated show in all of
You want your own Hard
reality
Knocks?
TV. It wouldn't be Hard Knocks. It'd probably be Knuckleheads. But no, I mean, it's there's no other way around it. It's a full-time grind, and the kids know that, and they're up for it. And I think as a staff and as a program, get a lot of good guys that we have on staff that I lean on to tell us when we're going too hard at certain times, because you get in the mode, and then when we need to back off and do some things that kind of like build team and build our program. So I guess that balance, my kids are getting older now, so it's like they started this travel soccer and stuff. So it's now becoming those, when I'm not on at football, it's long days. So I said nothing normal. It's always ever changing, but keeps you on your toes, keeps you going.
How old are the kids now?
All right, I have 7, 5, 3, and then 1.
Wow, so twos. It's the rule of twos, man.
Yep.
I love it. Obviously, this is a big year for you guys. There's a lot of potential there for you, and that's something everybody talks about this time of year is potential.
Right.
And you're a guy that believes in potential, but you got to realize it, right? So when you look at this year's squad, you guys lost a lot, but you got a lot coming back. What is the potential for this year's team?
Yeah, I think this is the first year where we feel like we're getting a lot of respect. So it's kind of uncharted waters for these kids. I mean, since we came here, we felt like we had talent. We felt like each team could find ways to beat anyone we played, and maybe some people on the outside didn't see it that way, and then we kind of changed the narrative. And this year, feels like a lot of the teams of the past. There's definitely a different aura in the locker room with this senior class, because a lot of these kids, like we've talked about, they've been filling holes for the upperclassmen for Dan Evans is 4 years now, but a lot of those guys, and that'll be on here that you'll be interviewing, it's been 3 years steady that they've been kind of playing prominent roles, surrounded by other very good guys, upperclassmen. But now this is their year where there's no one else but them. And when you look at our lineup, it's senior heavy in places, and then there's a lot of young guys, a lot of new faces that you'll have to get to learn. So expectations, I know it's coach talk. We got to get better every single week. And after 4 years in Division II, Region 5, you realize this is one of the best regions in the country, and you're up against some monsters. I mean, when you really look at things, you have to be prepared to play really good football in all aspects every single week to be able to compete versus the teams we're going to be asked to compete in the playoffs.
I mean, Division I, there's only 4 teams that potentially miss the playoffs, right? And it's so competitive in Division II. You truly believe that. Do you think, I mean, I know you're a little bit biased because you were in D2, but do you think D2 is more competitive than D1 at this point?
I'm not going to say as a whole.
Right.
Region 5,
I
think it's I don't even think it's close.
Yeah.
I think Division 3, which that would be Region 9 then.
Yes.
For a while there, they had a lot of 1 to 16 could be a good game. Region 2's turning into that. I can go down the list, and when you name the top schools in Northeastern Ohio, it's going to be your Akron Hobans, your Walsh Jesuits, your Hudsons.
Yep.
Then you're adding in St. Vincent, St. Mary's. It's just
That's a
you can
gauntlet.
you can find 16 teams there that it's scary, a scary region.
So you mentioned that this year's a little bit different because there's some people that are favoring you this year. I mean,
Mhm.
when you walked in, I remember you coming to the studio with your staff, and you felt like Fitch had been disrespectful for a long time, but the record wasn't there. Things are flipped now,
Yeah,
right? How do you, as a coach, and who has been a part of that change, a big part of that culture change, how do you kind of find those things now? Like the newspaper clippings that says, Fitch isn't for real aren't there anymore. How do you find that? Is it come internally or how do you turn it up a little bit?
I think it's changed a little bit. Youngstown is a very hard place.
Yes, it is.
It's if you want the truth, you come to Youngstown. So, I I think finding the motivation in terms of how people want to provide it for you is always interesting. It was a lot easier then, but now we feel like the teams are trying. No, I don't want to say teams. People are trying to attack what we've built,
Yeah.
and they want to see us fail, and that's what these guys are carrying now. They're carrying now a quick tradition that's been built since we've taken over, and passing the torch year in and year out of what the expectations and the standards of our programs are, and what we expect every Friday night. They're carrying that now, and they understand now it's not, you know, people want to see you fail for different reasons, and it's motivating in itself.
When you look at the offseason that you guys had, obviously weight room is big, but there's some other factors that go into it too. These guys kind of got to take care of themselves a lot of the time. What kind of things did you guys do in the offseason that's going to make you a better team this year?
Yeah, I mean, when you look outside of a football standpoint, there's a lot that we do that we try to build that and try to get our kids exposure. I mean, in the off season, it always starts when we consider right when football ends, our last game, win or lose, walk off the field. They take the 30-day rest, and then we get right back into the weight room, and then that's like a slow build up to that St. Valentine's Day massacre that we've been doing
Yeah,
that
I
the
love
kids
that.
love. So that's kind of like the very first kickoff of like this is the new team, and how we're going to be, and there's a lot of excitement built around that. And then from there, it just takes off. We'll try to go to spring practices. We're doing a lot of individual work on our own in small groups. Then the summer hits, and that's when we're going camping, literally from school to school nonstop, taking the kids on different tours, and just exposing them to different things throughout. It's a full time gig for these kids, and I think it happens so fast because we have multi sport athletes that are coming from kids are going all the way to state and track,
Yeah.
and then immediately hitting the middle of the summer and being asked to go to a Michigan camp right away. That gets tough in June. And then July, this is the first year we gave the kids off. And from a community standpoint, you talk about all these things and like the parade we do and this, and then you kind of get lost in trying to build to beat some of, we've talked about it, like it's not the best teams in the state. These teams are some of the best teams in the country
Yeah.
that are on our schedule.
Yep.
And in our region. So that's what we're chasing, and that's the expectations that we have to have every single day when you enter the facilities. But they're also 15 to 18-year-old kids that enjoy the bonding experience. So we gave them off 4th of July week for the first time in 3 years. We let them have that to reload. And then I know we just talked about it, but it was crazy. We used to go to a water park with the whole team, and it's like me and a couple other of our coaches watching 110 kids run all over a water park. It got pandemonium. So it's like, what can we do? And I really, the senior class, everyone, I just wanted more time with just them. So the Parents Club, I asked them if we could do a camping trip and they can help chip in. And we just actually did that last Sunday, and it was cool. I mean, I don't know, of the 22 seniors we had, I would bet 19 have ever like truly camped
Camp,
in the
not
tent.
glamp, camp.
Yeah, like I think they thought they were going to Camp Fitch. Like,
Okay.
you know,
Yep.
hey, coach, where's the bathrooms? And it's like,
There's a tree over there.
Yes, when the lights went out, it was dark. And that really let me know, like, a couple, you always, when you get in those settings, you see how they are at
Yeah.
football. But a lot of those kids and seeing the relationships that they truly have, that they let me into, that are kind of away from coach, that I got to see, made me believe that the senior class is a little bit different, and they want to be different. And kind of got excited after that, but then I woke up sleeping on the ground. We had practice the next day. It was tough. So
what did you? I mean, is there anything else that you learned about your guys that kind of surprised you during that trip?
I wouldn't. I learned a lot about the guys. Probably a lot I can't say on air, but no, I just, like, we sat around the campfire when it got late, and what was really special is, you try to ask bonding questions like, hey, who's your favorite Fitch player ever? And then, you had DJ Williams, and he says Dan Evans, who's currently on. I mean, two guys are currently on the team.
That's awesome.
And then you have Deshaun Vaughn, who says, it's Devin Sherwood from the past. The names start to come up. Tyler Evans is, the Nate Leskovacs, and these are all guys that are now like synopsis with our staff and what we've built. And then you ask them their favorite memories, and it's from, the Steubenville game or this game or going undefeated year, and then it's team dinners or going to the water park. It was like dressing up on Thursdays, and you're like, wow, like, some of these things that we're doing are hitting people in different ways, and kind of never got to reflect or hear from the kids on what they thought, and to have that chance, that's what I thought was pretty special.
That's incredible. That's the stuff you take away that's bigger than football.
Yep.
Speaking of football, we should probably talk a little bit about it. X's and O's. Let's talk about your offense. What do we have to look forward to this high-flying Fitch offense this year?
It's it'll be a lot of what you've seen and become accustomed to in the past. A lot of the same things, just with a kid, who's controlling it, that's had a full year of experience and is coming off a season-ending injury last year that left a bad taste in his mouth. And, he wants to put together a special year. And that's what's so special about Deshaun is he don't want to necessarily do it for him. Like, there's no lack of confidence there in that kid. He believes in himself. But I think if you ask him his number one goal, it's to lead this team week in and week out to a victory. And he'll do that any way possible. He's committed to the team. He's very he's very selfless when I think of him. But he's surrounded by some playmakers, and that you have DJ Williams, who has a goal this year to be Fitch's all-time leading rusher. It'll take 1,000+ yard season, but he did that as a junior. You have Dan Evans on the outside, who he's in striking distance of breaking a lot of the Fitch wide receiver records. Dom Perry's returning, was a touchdown machine and a deep threat last year. So those guys are going to be our horses. When you think of that, but you're adding some young talent around them. In terms of some sophomore guys that their names will start becoming prominent as we move on. Up front, we return 3 starters from last year. One's here with us today, and senior Ryan Arms, senior Marky Stancorp, who missed the back half of the season last year, so he's motivated to have a great year on both sides of the football. And then our lone junior, Trenton Ciccarelli. And both of those guys, both bookends for us, will be new. We have a senior who had to miss half of last year, who will be starting in Trevor Dragon, and then a sophomore in Booker Newberry, who we're excited about, but he's a sophomore. So,
and that's one of the things that I think that really hurt you last year was unfortunate injuries. I mean, and you guys dealt with it seemingly. It felt like every week. I know it wasn't, but it did feel like it. Is there anything that you guys took precaution-wise, health-wise, to kind of look at that and go, how do we keep our guys healthy, or is that just a freak thing that happened?
Yes, we did. And you always have a plan, right? You take a plan of action, and then it was probably 3 weeks ago, guys like Deshaun Vaughn and Marky Stancorp look you in the face and say, it's my senior year, I want to play. And, we're going to be smart about it as a staff, but can't hold those kids back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're only guaranteed what you're guaranteed, and that's life, and they know that. And we'll be smart as a staff to manage it, but Deshaun Vaughn is one heck of a safety, and that's what he's probably going to play at the next level. And Marky Stancorp is one heck of a defensive tackle for us. So there's other guys, Xavier Dawn, in the trenches on both sides that we're going to cut loose this year and give us everything you got for as long as you can go, and we'll figure it out. But you can't sit back, and even though it's hit us literally every single year, can't sit back and think about it. You just got to let them go.
Defensively, I mean, when you're talking about depth, that's where you got to have it. I mean, how do you guys feel defensively going into the season? You feel good about your depth and moving forward?
I don't think you ever have too much depth.
Right.
But, we really like our secondary.
Yeah.
A lot of guys who played a lot of football for us back there. Dan Evans started 4 years at corner for us. Davion Pritchard, who's headed to Pitt, he returns. Deshaun Vaughn is a 3-year starter, all-state safety. He's back there roaming. The other safety is going to be, a mix of guys that we feel can really give us a lot, and our future guys for us, and Deontay Stallings and Junie Higgs and JJ Grimes. Those combination of those three we're completely fine with. In the box, linebacker wise, it's a group of seniors and upperclassmen and a junior, Rocco DeFlorio. You have Kylan Foster, Devin Phillips, who's here with us tonight. Those guys have played football for us. And then on the outside, our hybrid is, a mix of 3 guys, 2 sophomores and a senior, but I feel really, really good about what Alex Hill can provide this defense. And up front, we feel good. They've played a lot of football for us, but I think we need depth. So we have some young guys who've played. It's going to be led by Xavier Dawn. He's just motivated to have a very special year. But, again, we stay healthy. We feel good about what we can put on the field at those positions and get the job done. And we feel like we have a nice depth that we need there. We would always like more, but you know what happens. One piece goes down, then dominoes start falling.
Yep. I heard an awesome stat that probably is going to make you smile from ear to ear, and probably you already know what I'm talking about, and that's Austintown Fitch sending the most D1 recruits to the next level. I mean, obviously, a lot of that is kind of what that next level needs, but you guys seem to be that feeder program for these D1 schools. That's got to make you feel good, and it's got to be a nice piece to showcase when you show up and get off the bus and say, hey, that's what D1 looks like.
Yeah. To elaborate on your comment, it's, for me, what makes me smile ear to ear is just not the D1. It's the next level. These guys going to the next level, and seeing that. And we'll put out one of the largest college football classes, I think, in our school history this year. And that's not from a Division I perspective. I mean, it quite possibly will be from a Division I perspective also. But in terms of guys playing at the next level, that's really how you build a football culture in a program, continuing bringing the lessons they've learned back to our staff, hopefully coaching for us in the future, being teachers, all of that, taking their experience from our program, from the programs that they continue to, and their work ethic, and bringing it back home. That makes me smile ear to ear. But, I think when you say, like, get off the bus and all that, a lot of the guys that we're talking about that are Division I or have earned their scholarship, it's been earned through hard work, a lot of hard work. And, of course, to be at that level and to play at that level, your baseline natural talent has to be pretty high.
Yep.
You either have to have some measurables or you have to have some outstanding attribute that draws their attention. Yeah. It's just not all about hard work.
Sure.
But at the level these guys are playing and what it takes to carry that week in and week out, and then seeing it, everybody thinks they can play college football. Everybody thinks they understand what a Division I is, Power 5, and what Division III is, and of course I could play Division III. And then you go see a Division III football game, or you actually go to a Power 5 game and say, like, I remember that kid. He wasn't that good in high school, but that kid was 6'5", 310, and he spent 3 years in that program. And now look at him. I think so. They're actually understanding that it's not fair, and you just got to put your head down and work hard, and then the chips will fall exactly where they should. And that's what I'm most proud about. I don't think we've left anything on the table, or kids are being under recruited or falling through. I think last year was proof of that. Josh Fitzgerald, Jay Neely, those kids can play football, and I wanted to make sure they had the opportunities to get a free education, and luckily schools took the chance on them, and they're both doing pretty well right now.
That's awesome, man. You're doing a great job. You and your
Thank you.
staff, because that is the most important part, is making sure these guys have something to go and take an education and get back, and they can start their own lives, whether there's football part of it or not.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the task at hand, Euclid, man. I mean, that's not an easy task. I mean, your schedule is not an easy task any stretch of the imagine any week. What do the Panthers look like to you? What are you seeing on film what you like that's going to present a challenge?
It's your typical Euclid team. They have a couple guys on the outside who will be some of the best kids that we match up with all year. Very talented out there. When you watch them on film, you of course the speed and athleticism jumps out to you right away. The bodies that I mentioned, that colleges look for,
They
have them. They have them. But that doesn't always translate to Friday night, and I think our kids are excited about the challenge, and they're geared and ready, and they know what we need to do in our plan of attack to win this game.
What's the calling card for this year? What are you guys hanging your hat on?
In terms of our motto,
or just what you look and how you want people to remember when Fitch played them?
You may laugh, but we have an assistant coach. His name's Mark Duramo, and he's a very, very motivational leader. And when we meet during training camps, this year I was usually in charge of it, but it's something that he takes a lot of pride in. And I said, hey, do you want to handle the character building and the motivational building this year? He's like, Coach, I'd love to. And one of his segments during one of the days was a story of, it's so funny. This is unplanned because I promise you, he did this well before Hard Knocks came out. He told the story of an eagle and a crow, and it talks about going higher. And basically, the crow's on the eagle's back, and it's pecking at him nonstop, and the eagle pays no attention to the crow. And all the eagle does is continue to soar higher until eventually the crow can't breathe at that height and just falls off. And he obviously tells the story a lot better than I do and used the video example. But one day we're leaving practice, and he would say with the kids all the time, go higher, 3 claps. And the kids are clapping. I watched him pull out of the parking lot. He had a couple young sophomores that are there, and he looked over at them. The sophomores go, Coach. Stops his truck, and they're like, go higher. And they all clapped. And then it just caught on from there. And I think the kids really understand what it means to go higher. And we talked about what crows can be and what they're going to be throughout the season and what they've seen and what we've already been through. And there's crows still on our back that are holding us back from being the team we truly want to be or the team we think we can be in our heads. And that's kind of what the legacy that I think this senior class wants to leave. And they truly do. There's this group. It's not just the seniors, it's the group. They truly want to achieve more and go higher.
I love it, man. Last question for you. I do it a little bit different than Steve or Romo or anybody like that. So we go a little bit sideways. So you got a chance to go anywhere in the world on vacation and eat whatever you want. Where are you going and what are you eating?
Man. Okay. Because you threw in the food there.
I have to.
Okay. If you're basing going anywhere in the world and eating anything in the world, my grandfather and grandmother are from Argentina. And 4 years ago, I had the chance to go visit our family in Buenos Aires. And if you've never eaten Argentinian meat or done with tapas in Buenos Aires, it is.
What's different about it?
The meat there?
Yeah.
Oh, it's unbelievable. they're all grass fed and
Okay.
not, people
Yeah, I
grass
got
fed, but the preparation, all of it, and they have tapas. Are you familiar with tapas?
Huh.
Basically, what it is everything's an appetizer,
Okay.
and you go there and you just order small plates, and they bring them out, and you just keep eating nonstop. So it's tons of meats, tons of little,
Okay.
like they call it fritas there, I forget what it is, but it's like French fries, and
Yeah.
it's out of this world. I'm telling you, if you get the chance,
Argentina.
you go to Argentina.
I love it.
Yes.
That I never listen when I do that. Usually people go Italy. Whenever they say
Yes,
food, it's
I
Italy,
know.
Italy. Like, okay, like I can only eat so much pasta, but
Right.
dude, I like that. That's
I'm not a red sauce guy.
not a red sauce guy.
Butter noodles, man.
My guy forever. TJ, thank you so much.
Thank you
Appreciate
for having me,
man.
and good
Good
to
luck
seeing
on
you again.
Friday. We'll
Yes.
see you next
It's a
week.
way to kick off high school football.
You're doggone right it is. You're probably gonna go watch some football now, huh?
That's right.
We'll be back right after this live from Sam's Wedge Inn in Austintown.